Hey guys. Okay, so I wanted to do a live book reading with just a couple of excerpts from my new creative writing book. A couple of you had asked me if I had any extras of the first edition, first printing paperback. I do have a couple. I'm giving one away today as a giveaway along with one of my bookmarks. It says Stay Determined on the front and has the cover image on it. And then on the back, I don't know if you can see, on the back it has my name and then the name of the book series on it. So I'm giving away these bookmarks today, one of them, and one copy of the first edition, first printing. There are only these copies left in existence. I will be giving them away for other events. Right now, I'm just going to give away just the one. And then I'll also be giving out one of my business cards that I just had printed that'll have all of my newsletter information with it, and also the information for the website. So I talked in my last video about all the things I didn't like about my first edition, first printing of my paperback. So with that, I had a second edition paperback printed through Amazon KDP, and I still hated it because it's still thin. And even though we fixed the spelling mistake on the back of the cover, it just doesn't, it's not weighted like a book. It doesn't feel like a book because KDP doesn't allow me to change the dimension sizes of the book. So you get this large size for a small amount of pages. So I went through a different distributor and publisher, and I had quite a thicker paperback printed in a smaller size, and I'm very happy with this one. So this is now, if you purchase a copy of the paperback, the second edition is this one. And I like it because the inside pages are more of a cream off-white color, and they feel more like poetry pages of a normal poetry book instead of this very thick photo feeling paper that you could have printed at home that Amazon quality had. And I'm sorry to bash Amazon's printing quality. They're a wonderful website and a great place to order things, but not so great with printing. So this copy is no longer available either. And now if you purchase a paperback, it'll come like this. I also wanted to show you guys my hardback. So this is what the hardcover looks like. It does feel like a book. It is weighted a lot thicker. There's no print on the spine because it is still a little thin. But I'm happy with this one. And it also has the cream off-white pages and separation in between each poem. So you can see here, there's going to be blank paper next to each poem just to give it some separation. So I like that about this copy. Today, when I do my 3 readings, I'm going to be reading from this book. If you would like a copy, the hardback is available now. And you can get it through barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. You can walk into one of your bookstores and ask them to order it. It is orderable and distributable to local bookstores. Okay? So, first things first, I'm going to read 3 excerpts from my book. So the first one I'm going to dive into is Tinged Memorial. And this video won't be very long. Each of these reads are 2 minutes or less. So I'm not going to be taking up a lot of your time today. And if you want to come in and out, that's fine. The video will be posted for playback later on Facebook. Okay, here we go. She sat in her grandmother's room, thinking of the smell that used to intoxicate the everlasting wonder of her personality. The smell had long since faded into perception, one that only her mind could trap forever. The musty old atmosphere fogged the room, and the heavy dust particles floated throughout, chasing the trails of fading light from the dust-stained window. All the once white lace and doilies were now shrouded yellow and discolored upon her antique dressers. The nightstand stood still strong, impenetrably clouded as it always was. A long ago lit candle, now melted and limber, sat in its cup, droopy as ever, last touched by her grandmother's frail but gentle hands. Old with age, dark but sweet, gloomy but intensely beautiful, Her handmade quilt still lay peacefully upon her hard and starchy mattress. In her mind, her spirit still sat on the edge of the bed, right where the imprint of a person's body was laying on the quilt. Her hand ran across the spot without flattening the surface, and she felt her love overcome all the pain she'd been feeling. Taking that with her, she slowly walked to the door, blew a kiss, and closed it forevermore. So, as you can see, this one is about losing a loved one. I spoke in the first video about how I use emotions from my friends and my family and also my own. That one was not one of my own. I never got the pleasure of really knowing my grandparents. They passed at a young age. But I had a friend of mine who lost her grandmother a few years back. And so I just kind of took some of her thoughts and her feelings and put them in there. And she did know that that was in the book. But I don't post names. So, and all of my pieces are either written in he or she. Okay? And so for the second reading, I'm going to move on to Blankets of White. This one was actually requested for me to read by one of my teachers. Her footsteps shivered forward as her ensemble slivered behind. The flowers in their beautiful glory made her excitement press on. Looking from side to side at the blankets of white made her thoughts create nerves inside. Her hair was up in curls, half down on one side, with a beautiful white veil suspended down around her soft features. Her lips of rosy red and her cheeks glowing, she made her way down the long but joyful aisle. At the end, her future waited and stood rocking back and forth. The nerves were clearly racing, and the love was strong as well. When she reached the end, her hand pulled out of the flowers and grasped her fellow man's. In silent matrimony, they began their long-awaited lives and looked out at the blankets of white to take their first steps into the world together. I think everybody knows that that's clearly about a wedding. So, and I know one of the people that RSVP to today's event is about to have her own wedding. Jaylyn, shout out. Congratulations. Okay, and now I'm going to read Irrevocable. Irrevocable is the last piece in the book. And so I'm going to talk about this one just for a second. I wrote Irrevocable when I was going through a really tough time in my life. It was about 5 to 6 years ago. I didn't know what my next step needed to be. If I needed to continue where I was at and just try and not give up, to keep on going, or if I needed to take a new path in life and start fresh, start anew. And anytime you start something new, it's scary. It's really scary. Publishing a book and doing a live video is scary. So all of this stuff is new to me. But 6 years ago, everything was changing around me, and I didn't know what my next step was. So this is the piece that came out of that. She found herself standing at a crossroads, to see herself staring now at two completely different paths, both far beyond her imagination and from her original plans. The sight presented her with disbelief. She had come so far to reach this point, and one decision after another led her astray. Now she had two choices: to continue forging her path with dignity and ambience of her choosing, or to take 10 far outstretched steps in the opposite direction. Thinking of whether to give up or move on was more difficult than she had ever imagined, as she thought these choices would not be presented to her in the near future. As she cascaded from one place to another, one path to another, one incandescent speck in another's life, she thought she wouldn't trade her experiences for anything the world could give, until she reached this point. Facing these choices was so suddenly life-changing that she didn't stop to realize how far she had come. Her self-worth was fading into a blackness that was surrounding her, engulfing her in darkness. She didn't know how to breathe or how to think of her next few moments. She fell to her knees and felt the burning, the heat, the anger rising through her body, working its way over her skin as she trembled. She felt so out of control, out of touch with reality. She didn't know where to turn anymore. Although on one hand, she could continue acting as if nothing had fazed her and moved towards her goals, she felt the strain of the consequences barring her down from her happiness. If she chose that path, she would surround herself with more turmoil, more pain, more difficulties than she ever thought possible. No, she had to make a change. Starting here, starting now, she had to make a massive change that would totally irradiate her past decisions in a new and thoughtful light. She would choose to emerge from a chrysalis to a butterfly and transform into the person that she aspired to be. This could take courage, determination, but it would take much work to explicitly change and alter her path into one with promise and possibility. Thinking of the effort she was going to have to give to surrender in order to survive. Her eyes closed as the warm, salty tears seeped from under her lashes. Trying to stand took more than just movement, as she had to fill her body with tremendous force to feel the ground beneath her feet. Looking forward, she gathered her might and took a new step toward the irresolute path, the unknown, the difficult choice, the path that would lead her to greatness. Okay, so I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into the type of writing that is inside of Volume 1 of the collective works. I am currently working on Volume 2. It's going to be a book of nothing but poetry, so everything in there should rhyme. It's going to be written in verse. I'm also excited about it because there's going to be illustrations in the book, so it won't just be text on paper like this one is. Also, it's going to be thicker. It's going to be about 150 pages at the very least, because I have a lot more poems than I do creative writing pieces. So I'm excited for that to come out. I plan to release one volume every quarter of this year in 2020. So I just released Volume 1 in January, so I'll be releasing Volume 2 in about April. More to come on that later. I'm not going to show you. I already have the cover picked out, and I've already got it printed, and I have the title of the book ready, but I don't want to release any information until it gets closer to time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to our giveaway. So I have taken all of the names of the Eventbrite submissions and I've thrown them into this bowl. So as you can see, they're already folded up. So now I'm just kind of shuffling it. This is going to be completely random. The name that I draw, I'm going to ask you to please send me your address that you want me to ship your prizes to in a private message on Facebook. If you would prefer to email me that instead, please let me know. I do have your email addresses, so if you're not watching the video today and if you don't come back to it later, I will reach out to you separately from there, and that way we can make sure you get your freebies. Okay? So, drum roll. The winner of the free book and bookmark is Janet Watson. So Janet, if you'll please contact me or send me a private message, I'll send you a copy of my literally limited edition, first printing. Now it does have the spelling mistakes on the front and the back cover. It also has a couple of mistakes and printing errors inside the book, but this is the copy that's no longer available. So it's been removed from the market. It's the first edition, first printing, first time this book was ever seen. And then you'll also be receiving, like I said, the information on the newsletter and the website information and then a bookmark. So congratulations, Janet. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. I know this was short and sweet. It was only about 15 minutes long. My last video was 30 minutes, and it not only tired me out, but it took forever to upload. So I decided to keep them short and sweet this time. But thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you soon.